Pegasus spyware designed to monitor terrorists is being used to spy on journalists and activists, according to a new investigation. This is News Review from BBC Learning English. I'm Neil, and joining me today is Roy. Hi, Roy.
Hello, Neil, and hello, everybody. Yeah, if our wonderful viewers want to test themselves on the vocabulary around this story, all they need to do is head to our website, bbclearningenglish.com, for a quiz. But now let's listen to a BBC News report about this story.
It's alleged that human rights activists and politicians around the world may have been monitored using a mobile phone spyware intended to target criminals and terrorists. A group of investigative journalists claims the Pegasus software, which has been sold to countries including Saudi Arabia and Bahrain, has been widely misused. The software firm NSO strongly denies that and is considering legal action.
So the story is a military-grade piece of spyware known as Pegasus, which was designed to monitor the activities of terrorists and criminals around the world, is now apparently being used to spy on journalists and activists. That is according to some investigative journalism.
You've been scanning the world's media for this story, haven't you, Roy? You've picked out 3 really useful words. What have you got?
Yes, we have targets, hack, and rogue.
Targets, hack, and rogue. So let's have a look at your first headline, please.
Our first headline comes from right here back at home from the BBC, and it reads, Pegasus, spyware sold to governments targets activists.
Targets. Chooses something to attack or pay attention to.
Yeah, so this word is spelled T-A-R-G-E-T-S. And it's being used as a verb in the headlines.
Yeah, so targets, I know what targets are. There's that game where you throw little arrows towards a board that is a target. What's the connection between this and this story?
Well, that game is called darts, and I am absolutely terrible at it. I get this little dart, and I try and throw it at the target. I try and hit the target. That, in that case, is a noun, target there. I'm terrible at it. I always hit the wall. People need to duck. But the idea there is I'm trying to hit the target, hit the board. And in the verb form, we say that we are targeting something, trying to hit it, or we're paying attention to it.
Okay, so that's a very literal definition we just gave there, with somebody actually physically throwing something at a object called a target. But we use it more figuratively, don't we?
We do. So as I said, when you want to pay attention to something, to monitor something, you can target someone or something. And that's what it's being used as in the headline. They're not trying to literally hit the journalists or activists, but they are paying attention to them. They have selected them as their focus, if you like.
Yeah. Now, this is a word that we see often in connection to advertising.
We do. So quite commonly, adverts will identify a target market. So quite commonly, we see these adverts for toys which target children. You know, they're very vibrant. There's a happy child playing with the toy, and they're used to target children or to target the parents to give them an idea of what to buy. So there's a lot of kind of psychology behind it. People are selecting a target audience or market, thinking about what people want to see and when they will be watching it.
Yes, also a word used often in the media, a target audience. We have a target audience, don't we, Roy?
We do, yeah. We want to, our target audience are people around the world who want to learn English.
We also see this word used a lot in the world of business, don't we, Roy?
We do, and it's quite commonly used as a noun or a verb as well. And it's when they have an objective, if you like. So a business may target an increase in profits, or the business target is to increase their profits.
Absolutely. Okay, let's get a summary. Now, talking about targets, we have a target that the UK government had to reduce obesity. Where can our viewers find that story?
All our wonderful viewers need to do is click the link in the description.
Time now for your next headline, please.
Yes, our second headline comes from CNN and it reads, Washington Post. investigation finds Israeli-designed spyware was used to hack journalists and activists around the world.
Hack. Get unauthorized access into a system or computer.
Yes, so this is a very, very small word and it's spelled H-A-C-K. Now, Neil, are you scared of, you see these stories all the time in the media about people who get access to your computer and steal your information? Are you scared about this?
Yes, I don't want to have my computer hacked or any sort of virus installed on it.
So we use things like internet security and antivirus. So it's good that you're aware of that. So that's to prevent people or things hacking our computer, stealing information like credit card details and other sensitive information. And this is the meaning in the headline. People are hacking, or somebody hacks somebody's phone to get sensitive information.
Yeah, and you've used the word in several different forms there as a verb, like in the headline, to hack. And we also talk about the person who does it, a hacker, and the activity, hacking, all of these very negative things. But the word hack, I'm pleased to say, can be used positively, especially in combination with the word life.
Absolutely. So one of my favorite life hacks is if somebody's fridge is smelling, I put coffee grounds in a bowl and put it into the fridge. And it is a natural deodorizer. It removes the smell. This is what we call a life hack, a tip or a trick to make your life a little bit easier.
Yeah, doesn't it just make your fridge smell like coffee?
I love coffee, and I don't know if it actually works, but it seems to work, so I'm a winner.
Okay, so a perfect example of a life hack, and that's a really positive use of the word hack, which is normally really negative. Now, to look at another meaning of the word hack, Roy, you were in your garden having a really bad time this weekend, weren't you?
Oh yeah, it was terrible. I hadn't cut my grass for a few weeks, and it was so high. It was so high, and I had to get a big long knife and really hack at it, cut imprecise cuts, just like over and over again, hacking at the grass and hacking at the plants to cut them down. And that is another meaning of the word hack. And it's a verb in that case.
Absolutely. Okay, let's get a summary. Well, we're looking at the word hack, and the word hack appears in the name of one of our series, Lingo Hack. We've got a great story about the Loch Ness Monster, haven't we, Roy?
We do, and all our wonderful viewers need to do is click the link in the description below.
Okay, let's have a look at your next headline.
So our next headline comes from Mail Online, and it reads, 50,000 VIPs, including Jamal Khashoggi's wife, were targeted by cyber hackers for rogue regimes.
Rogue. Describes behavior that's unexpected or damaging.
Yeah, so in this headline, it's being used as an adjective, and it is spelt R-O-G-U-E. Now, you know that I love animals, right, Neil?
Absolutely, yes. You love your dog amongst other animals.
I do. And quite commonly you see animals in the wild in a group, sometimes referred to as a herd. And this is a normal way that the animals will travel, but occasionally an animal will split off. One animal will separate from the herd and go into a town and village and cause damage and destruction. And we call this animal a rogue animal.
Right, okay. Not used only to describe animals, is it? I've seen this word as an adjective used to describe countries or states.
Yeah, quite commonly you hear of a rogue country or a rogue state, and it refers to a country that's not behaving in an expected way, potentially that is dangerous or damaging to other countries around the world.
Yeah, and you see this word applied very often to North Korea, for example.
You do, especially when there's things like missile tests and things like that.
So we've got animals, we've got states. Can you use this to talk about people?
Absolutely. You can say that a person who's maybe behaving again in an unexpected or dangerous way is a rogue. Now, notice there that I used it as a noun. We don't say a rogue person. Usually we say a rogue. It's
Yeah. It's quite old-fashioned, though, isn't it?
It is. It's not as common now as it was. You quite common see it in literature, older books, something maybe by Oscar Wilde or something like that. A person is a rogue.
Yeah. Okay. But we can also use it to talk about someone in a positive way. So we've said that they a bit unexpected or do sort of bad things, but they can be a lovable person, a lovable rogue.
A lovable rogue, yeah. So this is maybe a person that you know, maybe a friend who's very charming and you absolutely love him, but he's a bit cheeky and he does things that maybe are a bit unexpected.
Yeah, you don't want to trust this person.
No.
Okay. One final thing to say about the word rogue. We saw the spelling there with the UE at the end. We don't pronounce that. We just end with that G sound, rogue.
Yeah, it's not rogue, rogu, roguey.
It's not rogue.
Rogue.
No, it's just rogue. Okay, let's get a summary. Time now then, Roy, for a recap of our vocabulary, please.
We had targets, chooses something to attack or pay attention to. We had hack, gets unauthorized access into a system or computer. And we had rogue, describes behavior that is unexpected or damaging.
If you want to test yourself on the vocabulary, there's a quiz on our website at bbclearningenglish.com, and we're all over social media. Take care and see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.